regulation has been a popular topic for the past couple of years, especially within the VC industry. Actually, for us, especially focused on early stage tech healthcare investment, we welcome potential regulation for the big tech company. When we talk about this monopoly issue, the main thing is data monopoly. Now, this trend is digitalization. So we're seeing digital transformation happening every single industry. But if a data monopoly exists with lots of big tech company, actually it's much harder for the smaller startup to gain the access of the data and be able to do more innovation. So when we see the regulation, I think fundamentally we really welcome the regulation, especially focus on data monopoly. No matter what happening in California or in Europe, the CCP, GDPR, that's the starting point. I think not only us as a VC, we welcome the regulation to create a more healthier environment and a community ecosystem for the startup company. Even some large corporate I talked to, they try to get a clear understanding of what is the potential regulation, then they could be prepared for that. Because data could be the data currency in the future as well. And as large corporate, they also want to make sure they don't have any potential liability in the future if they have so much of potential, data currency at their hand, but they don't know who has ownership.
Fair enough. But what about the compromise on growth? And the debate has really been about how Chinese regulators have been far more enforceable in this part of the world than what we've seen with the US regulation. But for all of your investments that are largely based stateside, isn't that a potential risk that can then curtail growth, which is what you're investing into, right? Which is what you're buying?
Yes, definitely there's some short-term pain. And another thing I feel the challenge part is how to put together a regulation, no matter detailed terms, are just in general the mandate will work for everyone. So I think that really need effort from all different parties, not only just the government agency, but also investor, entrepreneur, big corporate players who really understand what's going on and what is the power of technology to make sure we have the correct regulation on it. My very concern is, as you said, if we just put a one-stop solution on it, and not only we may have short-term problem with potential growth, may also extend to the long-term issue. But I feel just in general, even we suffer some short-term pain, it definitely worth the effort to make it a healthier environment for us to have longer-term benefit of have the regulation, especially focus on data.
We're talking about, putting protections in place to avoid those issues, and this kind of fits in some ways to the broader narrative around a U.S.-China tech decoupling. What does that mean when it comes to fundraising and financing these tech companies? Would you say that for startups in Silicon Valley that there is a bit more reluctance now to take money from a Chinese VC as opposed to a U.S.-based VC? Have you seen any of those stereotypes play out?
Definitely, it's happened not only this year, I think since 2018, 2019, starting when there's a CFIUS regulation in place, most of the Silicon Valley founder would prefer to take local VC money like us instead of taking foreign capital to avoid the CFIUS issue, because this processing, this filing may take months, which could create a potential challenge for founders since, early stage company, they're short in cash. If they have to delay the process for 6 months or even longer, the company may not exist anymore. So definitely they create a preference of founder who like to take more local money. But in general, US have huge amount of VC capital. Even for this year, if you look up to 2000, 2008, when the crisis happened, that we see basically the that's nobody invests. But this year we have another historical high total amount of VC capital. So I think there's a sufficient capital in the United States, especially in Silicon Valley, to fund the local startup company. But I feel the challenge for decoupling between the US-China tech industry is more about the company want to grow the business with a perspective of global company. And they lost the big market in China to collect enough data for them to explore different type of application, which may accelerate their business growth.